Hey Village, so today we're going to talk about a topic that has been brought up a few times. People have asked in the comments, and it's something that I think, as a foster parent, depending on the ages of the kids that you're taking in, the answer varies. And so what we're going to talk about is discipline. As a parent, obviously, you have the freedom, for the most part, within reason, to discipline your kids as you see fit. But when you sign up to be a foster parent, you are agreeing to certain terms. So what I have is a giant binder with all of our policies and procedures that are specific to our state, our county, and specifically our private agency. So some of these are going to vary, but generally the practice is going to be the same. So I'm just going to read something from this just to make it very, very clear. So this says that in accordance with State Rule 51012-709 and 51 blah, 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 all of these policy numbers, the policy is as follows. So under Section C, a foster caregiver shall provide humane, instructive discipline appropriate to the age and functioning level of a foster child. So basically what this is going to state and clarify is that disciplinary methods should focus on praise and encouragement for desired behaviors rather than punishment. So that's one parenting style, is instead of worrying about and discouraging bad behavior, punishing a child, another route you can take is to praise the child. So kind of like what we do for Darcy, our own child, is we have a listening chart. And so when she's listening, we will give her a sticker. And then once she gets 10 stickers, she gets some sort of a prize. We have found that this is more beneficial of a parenting style than yelling at her to listen, which sometimes we end up doing, but it usually just escalates the situation. All rules and expectations made by a foster caregiver shall be explained to a foster child in a manner appropriate to the age and understanding during the initial orientation and prior to any disciplinary actions for violations of such rules. So what that's stating is there should be a conversation that the foster caregivers have with the child prior to any issues. So basically you're establishing ground rules of the house. It would be as if you were going to punish a child for something that they didn't really know was an issue or a deal breaker. So if we say, oh, we're going to take away your phone because you stayed up until 11 o'clock, well, they might not have known that that was a rule. So just having those conversations first. A foster child shall not be punished for actions over which he has no control. That seems to be pretty no-brainer, but they have to write it down, which means there was probably something that happened where they had to clarify that. And also, a foster child shall not be punished for bedwetting or in the course of toilet training activities. So that's really important too. So there are some other things that go into discipline. So I'm just going to highlight a few. So a foster caregiver shall not use any of the following practices for a foster child: physical hitting or any type of physical punishment inflicted in any manner upon the body, such as spanking, paddling, punching, shaking, biting, hair pulling, pinching, or rough handling. So this is a big one. Yeah, you cannot physically punish or discipline a child who is in your care. This could cause an issue with a foster family, if the parents do spank their own kids, they are not going to be able to do that with a foster kiddo. And also what we have found is we want consistency with the kids who are in our home. And so we want Darcy and Sawyer to be treated the same as we would a foster kiddo and vice versa. So we actually do not spank or physically punish. And also you have to take into account if the child is coming into your care because there was some kind of abuse in the home, if that kid is watching you discipline your kids and you're spanking or hitting, that could actually be traumatic and a trigger for them. So just something to be mindful of. As a foster parent, you are not being asked to change the way you parent your children, but you do have to be mindful of what you can and can't do and be sensitive to the kids who are in your care and what trauma they've experienced. Other things that cannot be done: physical strenuous work or exercises when used as means of a punishment. So I would imagine this would have to do with somebody, saying, oh, like you are going to do push-ups until I say stop. Requiring or forcing a foster child to take an uncomfortable position, such as squatting or bending, or requiring a foster child to repeat physical movements when used as a means of a punishment. So something I remember from our training is, I guess, an old punishment was like pouring rice on the floor and asking the child to kneel, which is incredibly painful. So that you cannot do. So basically how that is summed up with those first few points is just no physical punishment. Absolutely none. Then the next section talks about different forms of punishment as far as denying the child something. So this says denial of social or recreational activities for excessive or prolonged periods of time. Prolonged is in excess of 1 week. Anything longer would require the approval of the agency. So that might be something where if there was a behavior and the punishment was that they, couldn't attend a game or practice, that is only acceptable up to a week, and then you have to talk to the agency to see if it's acceptable. This is another obvious one, it seems, but it's written in here for a reason. Denial of social or casework services, medical treatment, or educational services. So you can't say, oh, you're being punished, you can't go to your visitation, you can't go to your sibling visit, you can't see your therapist. That is just not gonna happen. Deprivation of meals. You cannot tell a foster kiddo that, if they don't do something, then they're not going to get dinner or breakfast or a snack or whatever. You cannot hold food over their heads as a form of punishment. Denial of sleep, again, seems a little obvious, but you can't punish them by telling them that they can't sleep. And then denial of shelter, clothing, bedding, or restroom facilities. So some of these, pretty obvious that they should not be happening. And really, as a parent, some of these are just things that I would never consider to use if I was punishing even my own kids. But just wanted to share that because some families might need to adapt a little bit because it's just something that they've been used to. And also there's a note here that says specific to our agency that they prohibit the use of any type of restraint. So that would be, holding a child down either for the safety of others or for the safety of themselves. That's not allowed. So these are things that are covered in training, but they do give you this giant book of policies so that you have it on hand. And there have been a couple of times where, John and I have pulled this out just to clarify something. These are the type of things that, as a foster parent, we're expected to know this. We're expected to follow every single policy. And the reality is that sometimes we don't always remember certain details. So that's why it's really important to just be in communication with with the care team of the kiddo and specifically the caseworker. If you have an open relationship with them where you can text or call, that is why that relationship is really beneficial, and also a reason why we went with a private agency to get our foster license, because that private agency caseworker is answering a lot of our questions, because the county caseworker is really just at capacity and she is not going to be able to respond to questions as quickly. So in the comments, feel free to share some of the experiences that you've had, what has worked. Please don't give any specific details about any of the kids in care and their situations. But if you found that certain things work as forms of, rewards instead of punishments. And also, obviously things are going to depend on the age of the kid and, what their development looks like, where they're at, like emotionally, mentally, developmentally. So all of those you have to take into consideration. And of course you have to do that as a parent in general. And I mentioned this on our live show with John. Someone asked us, some of the lessons that we were surprised by as we were becoming foster parents. And for me, I feel like, I'm a better parent because of being a foster parent. I'm a better parent to Darcy and Sawyer because of the training that we have gone through, because, we have more empathy, understanding, we understand child development more, we have coping skills. There's so much benefit from, becoming a licensed foster parent, not only in how you are impacting the life of a child, but also, yourself and your family and the people you come into contact with. So that's it for this video. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if you want to get notifications, you got to make sure that bell is turned on so that you're notified when new videos come out. Thanks for watching.